Hi, welcome to Words on Water. I'm Travis Loop. This is a special video edition of the Words on Water podcast. For this episode, I am very happy to be joined by Rob Gledhill. He is president and CEO of Blue White Industries. Rob, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you very much for having me, Travis. I'm excited about this interview.
Yeah, we had a little conversation beforehand, and I'm excited as well. Really good stuff. I'm curious to hear from someone in your position, a president and CEO of this company, as coronavirus kind of unfolded and this pandemic unfolded. You all took on a really interesting project that I think also highlights your approach as a company. But could you tell that story for folks?
Sure. Yeah. If you remember back in February, March, there was some scary times we were going through. This pandemic that was rapidly progressing on a global scale. Just like you, we were watching the news. We were watching this unfold. Hospitals were maxed out. Ventilators were in short supply. And so it didn't take very long for some city officials to contact us. What they did was they went around and contacted all the local manufacturers to see if they could help with manufacturing ventilators. And so we were contacted and asked that very same question. And of course, my immediate response was, we would love to help, but we just don't have the knowledge, the capability to do so. I've seen these ventilators. And so after some phone calls back and forth, emails, we looked at designs, we decided to give it a try. It was a modified ventilator. They call it an emergency ventilator. And there was definitely a spec list that we had to meet, a requirement list. And we analyzed it. There was a design that MIT had done for third world countries. We looked at that. And then we decided as a team, we had a team of 7 engineers we put on this project. And there was other ones that got involved along the way. But we decided to give this a shot because we wanted to help out and see what we could do. And, the great thing about our engineers and our culture around the company is we say nothing's impossible. It's only impossible if it's because it's never been done before, something we say. So anyway, we quickly learned as rapidly as we could, everything we could about, respiratory systems and current ventilators. So we spent the next few days learning. We had a working prototype within 3 days after agreeing to manufacture these ventilators. It took us about 2 weeks to get a real acceptable working ventilator, though. And so we communicated with customers, and that's like what I mean by customers. We communicated with doctors, respiratory therapists, professionals, even emergency room doctors, CEOs of hospitals. Anyway, and the bottom line is we came up with a really great design we were very proud of. And we had a final showing for the local community. EMTs were here. Again, all the professors, and they looked at our design and we said, okay, this is a great backup plan for a worst case scenario. And, of course, we're hopeful we never have to go forward with using this product that we were very proud to develop. But anyway, it really showed, it was a testament to what our team could pull off in such a short duration of time.
Well, it's incredible. What was that like for your team, for these engineers and the other people at your company to be involved in a project like this that was so important in a different way and to kind of stretch themselves? What was that like for those people?
Well, yeah, we really did have to stretch ourselves, like you just said. But really the community needed us, and we're an equipment manufacturer for water and wastewater. So we're an essential business. We were open. Granted, we had a lot of other things going on around here, but we did know what was going on around us globally. So we wanted to help. I feel like, instantly I knew it needed to be in our R&D department, because our R&D department is a little bit like the Wild Wild West. And, until projects become mature and then they go down to engineering. So this project was special. It needed to be in R&D. the reason for that was we needed to test ideas as rapidly as possible. We needed to design, build, and test like this. So that's why R&D was the perfect department for us. And we believe, I mean, you can't innovate without failing. It's like Edison, we found 10,000 ways to not make an emergency ventilator, and we had to do that as quickly as possible. But the interesting thing, though, Travis, is that at the end of this project, I analyzed what we did and looked at our accomplishments and our designs, and I thought, wow, this is very similar to the products we already make. It's just some things are a little different. And I'll give you an example. There's a main cavity within this ventilator, right? And you're pumping, it's meant to hold a medium, all right? Usually it's fluid with what we normally do when we make pumps, but in this case it was air. And so what we needed to do was control the speed at which the air was coming out, right? So how fast you're breathing, we needed to really control this. And so that's similar to increasing the speed of a pump or decreasing, this is velocity, fluid flowing through a pipe. We needed to maintain constant pressure. Okay, so, but not too much. And if you went over too much pressure, we had to have a relief valve, all right? And so this is called, PEEP in ventilator terms. And so that's very similar to the things we're already doing. And then we had to monitor multiple fault conditions, right? And then have either an audible alarm or a visible alarm. And so we were just measuring different things than we would normally measure. But the real interesting part is that we had to control the speed at which a person will inhale and exhale. And it's a different ratio from how fast you inhale to exhale. And so we really had to get tricky with our motor designs and motor controls to really have that accuracy that's required. And so at the end of the project, we not only did pull this off, but we increased our capabilities. And now we have better ways to control these brushless DC motors. And we could take that knowledge, give it to the water and wastewater industry for better control and increase efficiencies with pumping and treating water.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty impressive.
It absolutely is. That's fantastic. Really cool. How does this experience kind of fit within your overall company's culture? You guys, the way you approach things, I think I've heard you talk about, idea generation and the freedom to learn and kind of explore and be creative. So if you could talk about that.
Right. Well, again, it's within our culture, and it's very important to look. I think if we want to innovate at the rate at which I believe we need to innovate, we need to have a culture where we're generating new ideas as rapidly as possible. We're exploring not only our industry, we're not only meeting with our customers and learning from them, hearing what they're saying. We have to actually watch them too, because they're going to do things they're not telling us. But also we need to go out in other industries and learn in other industries so that we could look for opportunities that would help out in water and wastewater utilities. And the only way to achieve this is by having a culture that allows this freedom to bring new ideas to the table for experimentation and testing. And also it's this culture of learning and never assuming everything, right? And we don't want people like that here, because if you're not growing, you're going. So we want everybody to grow and grow with us and really push the limits, because things are changing all around us all the time, especially right now from a technology standpoint. As you know, we're doing this virtually this year.
Sure. Well, how, I'm curious on your thoughts, this pandemic, this whole situation that we've gone through and are still going through is definitely going to have some lasting impact on how businesses operate and also the types of products and services that businesses look to put out there. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on kind of this more digital, more remote world, that we've moved into very rapidly, and how you see your business within that.
Okay, yeah. So just like you mentioned, just like most companies, I mean, Blue White had to pivot at a moment's notice. All of a sudden, teams are all in the office one day, and 2 days later, they're all working remotely. So there was a lot of learning and changes happening. We were digitizing everything at a rapid pace. Everything from like our training programs to we would have board meetings, and I would have state of the company addresses where we would get everybody together. And so quickly, like this, we had to digitize that. Now we're using more cloud storage and cloud-based programs. And so the only reason I bring this up, because I know most people are in this situation, is because we realized that we're not alone doing this. Our customers are doing the same thing. The utilities are really needing to switch as well, as most as they can and as best they can. So we're looking at transitioning a lot of the older ways of doing business in this market or industry, and doing whatever we can to provide more remote, I guess, remote opportunities, okay, to get over these new challenges. So right now we're looking at like digitizing customer service, right? It's 24/7. You can get the help you need digitally. Customer training portals. We're realizing the utilities will want to do a lot of training remotely instead of in person, one-on-one. I know WEF is a big advocate for that, especially right now. So it's not new news to you, Travis.
Absolutely.
But in industry expos, right? These are all going virtual. And so anyway, it reinforces our plans that we have in place of rolling out more of a remote solution for our products, which doesn't sound too exciting. Of course, it's like, well, of course you would do that, right? That's the natural progression. But just a year or two ago, this was a very controversial decision. What utilities want to allow remote capabilities with some of their products. It's so we're working closely with security firms and all this, but at the same time, we realize there is a need now for a lot of this remote capability. And as equipment manufacturers for the water and wastewater industry, I feel like we all, not just Blue White, need to be improving everything that we do to increase the efficiencies of water and wastewater treatment, their capabilities, and reducing their costs all at the same time.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And it all makes a ton of sense with this world we're in. You also talked a little bit in our pre-conversation about the products and really how you're going to dive into this world, and some of the things like how can you reduce the need for maintenance, or put products out there that will not have to be visited as much, or they're out in rural areas. I wonder if you could just talk further about that whole approach, and as you're looking at the next wave of what you do.
Yeah. So okay, this is interesting because this is a new world that we're getting accustomed to right now, and really, what we're doing is we're listening and watching the operators more and other industries, like I had mentioned earlier, and we are realizing that I guess what we're trying to do is we're trying to minimize the amount of time that the operators need to handle, perform maintenance, whether it's scheduled or unplanned maintenance with the products. And so our focus is not only remotely monitoring and controlling, but also minimizing maintenance or eliminating it altogether. So there's a big target on that, which is maintenance related. And so we are really talking to operators. And can you imagine like being out at dinner on a Saturday night and getting a notification that that, some pump went down out on some reservoir in some rural area, and you got to get in your car, truck, you got to head over there, and you got to deal with this unplanned downtime. And so what we're doing is we're getting more into automation, we're using more technologies to alleviate these challenges. We're working with new advanced materials. And so this is part of that. Again, I believe it's just part of that culture. And I think it's just a new day for business, nowadays with this rapid change that's happening all around us. And so I feel like as equipment manufacturers in this industry, we need to improve at all levels. And I don't care if you're talking about just, increasing efficiencies, or talking about, uptime, or reducing energy costs, or reducing chemical usage, increasing or decreasing the amount of operator times they have to deal with the equipment. And especially now, it's more important than ever with all the social distancing and that's going on. But overall, with what is happening, I feel like there is a silver lining with what's coming out of this. It's forcing utilities, it's forcing companies like us that provide products, equipment to the utilities, to really expand and increase the deliverables to the industry.
Sure. Necessity is the mother of invention, or something like that, right? One of the other areas of emphasis that you've mentioned is, yes, technology is complicated, and we have this digital world, but you're really looking to try to simplify for your customers and for your users. Simplify the experience that they're having. And I thought that was very interesting, because things are becoming more sophisticated, right? Underneath the hood, if you will. But you want to try to have that user experience be simpler, or more in line with what they might experience in other parts of their lives, and with other equipment and technology. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Okay. So something that I believe in totally is simplifying things wherever you can, right? And I say things because, of course, that's general, and I meant it to be general. But everything from, I guess, everything from ordering a product should be simple. And us as a manufacturer, we need to deliver that information to our customers in a more simplified approach. Standardize on the best wetted materials as possible, the best equipment as possible, to minimize the complexity in the ordering process. Because we know there's many chemicals that are used in these water and waste industries, but there's not so many that we can't, wrap our designs around it. We know what chemicals we're going to have to be compatible with, so we can design our products around that to make the selection process simpler. But then also it comes to working with the product, it comes to the customer support, and it's a whole trickle down thing when it comes to the simplifying approach. But also, I'll take it to another level, where we're even doing these software designs to control our products. And we realized that the best way to design software is by looking at a cell phone that's in your pocket right now, or mine, because now this software has become the design is so intuitive to us, because we use it throughout the day, every day, that now our products are going to simulate those or be similar to the phones that are in our pockets. And so these are things that we could do to simplify whatever we can in the industry moving forward. And then once you do that, then not only is ordering going to be better, the service going to be better, if there is any, but just your overall experience along the whole way.
It was great to catch up with you. I really appreciate having a kind of larger philosophical discussion here about approaching products and services in the water sector, and you sharing that incredible experience with building a ventilator there as part of this coronavirus situation. But thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Travis. It was great meeting with you today.